Hello and welcome back to Xia Reviews Things. It's not a segment. I just made that up just now. But anyway, I literally just got back from the theater from seeing Avatar: Way of the Water, and I just wanted to give you guys some of my thoughts on the movie before I forgot everything. It's already trickling out of this side of my head, so we'll just try to shove it back in so I can remember what happened and remember what I thought of it. So I've talked about this on my Twitch streams pretty often, especially because I just recently rewatched it. The first Avatar movie, back when that was released, I was living on the Big Island of Hawaii, and we did not have any IMAX theaters there. There's an IMAX theater on Oahu, I think. It might be different now. I've been gone from home for like 10 years. So I didn't see it at first in IMAX. I just saw it regularly, and I was super underwhelmed. Even regularly, it did look cool. So I was like, okay, but movie-wise, I didn't think it was that great. Now, we went to go see it. Nick got us tickets to go see it again for the second time for me, but the first time in IMAX. And this was just a couple of months ago. And I remember being so annoyed. I left the theater. I was so pissed off. I was like, that movie sucked. Like, I hated it. I hated it. It was visually, it was still really good. It did hold up. It was a very visually beautiful movie. But to me, the story-wise was just really, really unimaginative. It was very plain. It was very much like, yes, industrialization, bad. And it's like, yeah, we know. Like, it was just so forcefully sort of down your throat, the lesson they were trying to teach you and the whole thing, that it just became obnoxious. And again, it wasn't creative. I didn't care very much about the characters. So it's one of those things that, I don't know. I left being more annoyed than when I walked in. I left and I was like, oh God, I hated that. So I really, really disliked the first one. Now the second one, I went into it thinking, okay, this is gonna suck. So my expectations were already horrendously low. But I went into it thinking that it was going to be really bad, and this is the plot that I sort of predicted beforehand. You know, they come back, obviously. We knew that was going to happen. The sky people, the humans, us evil humans. And look, don't get me wrong. Humans are pretty garbage. I'll be the first to admit that all the time. But this is a trope that has been played out, and it's been played out, and it's Fern Gully. I watched Fern Gully's a big one. People say it was very similar to Dances with Wolves, which I have not seen, but, you know, in space. Maybe I won't watch it now. But anyway, point is that the sky people were going to come back, and they were going to take over, and they were going to have to fight them off again, and they were going to go find other tribes and be like, you have to help us fight. And the other tribes are going to be like, this isn't our war. And they're going to be like, it will be, though. They're not going to stop with us. They're going to come to you. And I was like, oh, it's just going to be that. And then they're going to be like, oh, we fought them off. I think that we're originally going to make like 4 of those movies or something like that, 4 or 5. There's going to be a bunch of them. So going in just with those expectations, loosely, that sort of kind of was the plot. But they did throw in some different stuff. So overall, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it was certainly better than the first one, which is usually not the way that goes. So I was surprised. I was fully anticipating that it was going to be worse, but it did take me by surprise. Don't get me wrong, it was not a masterpiece of storytelling, but it was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Visually, it was beautiful. I saw it in IMAX 3D, and I think we're going to get to a point, and we're going to get to a point soon, where it's going to feel like we're in whatever's going on, because it was incredibly realistic. The 3D was sort of popping out at you. The sounds, like, it was impressive. Visually, it was very impressive. So there were parts of it that I really enjoyed, and they had a lot of shots. A lot of the movie was made for that, because they know, okay, the draw here are the visuals. So they really had a lot of, you know, beautiful panning shots of the ocean and, you know, the floating islands or the big rocks, like whatever was going on in Pandora. And then they go to the water tribe. By the way, I feel like I should just say now there are going to be spoilers. So visually it was amazing, and they threw in some interesting things. Like, I didn't realize that Sigourney Weaver's character, which I already forgot her name, that's so bad, but she had a daughter somehow, her avatar, even though she died in the last movie. Kitty is the name of the daughter, who is also just Sigourney Weaver, which you can tell. Like, you can tell it's Sigourney Weaver. When she was talking, I was like, oh, that's just Sigourney Weaver. They did a good job of making her look like a younger Sigourney Weaver, but it was hard to get the voice right because Sigourney Weaver is an older woman. She has kind of an older woman voice that's super obvious. But that being said, I mean, that was kind of interesting the way they went about that. I actually am a little bit curious to find out who's the dad, what the hell happened, because that's kind of weird. She was just born out of this avatar body after the original woman that piloted it died. Like, that was cool. So I was like, okay, interesting. They had her have some deep connection to, oh my God, what's it called? They're spiritual all around them. I'm already forgetting. See, this is why I have to do these things right away, or I will forget everything. And that's just the way my brain works. But anyway, she had this connection to, what is it? Awa? That's what I thought it was. It was like Awa, something like that. Anyway, she had this connection and she could sort of connect to the plants or the ocean life or different various forms of life, whether it was sentient or not, and then sort of control it. And Awa, that's what it was, Awa. I literally watched this 30 minutes ago, you guys. It's been 30 minutes. This is my brain. Awa, the Great Mother. And she can connect it and kind of connect to it and control it. And this is my prediction. I could be completely wrong, obviously, but when her mom died, they were trying to get her body into the avatar, her consciousness out of her original human form and into the Natiri bodies, but it didn't work. They couldn't do it. So my guess is that she's connected in Awa some way or another. Like, she's still there enough that now she has this connection through her daughter. It's possible. That was kind of cool. I was like, all right, that's interesting. There were a couple big things that were pretty easy to be called. I was, definitely about halfway into the movie, I was like, oh, they're going to kill the oldest son, aren't they? Lo and behold, they did. It's not surprising. But I actually did feel kind of sad when they did, which I was surprised about, because in the first movie, I didn't care that much about the characters. They just annoyed me. In this one, I was far less annoyed. So they also left the forest, and this was another little bit of a curveball they did. At least they tried to make this more interesting than like, we gotta fight. Jake Sully decided that he was just gonna run because he didn't want to lose his family, so he really wanted to protect his family, which is understandable as a parent. So he ran away. They ran off to the water tribes. There was it Tonawari and Renal? I know I'm butchering the way they say these things, but both of those characters, it was like the priest and the priestess, or the king and the whatever. They were the leaders of that tribe that they went to. They decided to let them stay. I didn't notice. I did not know. I was trying to figure it out who the hell Renal was. It was Kate Winslet. I had no idea. I didn't look into this going into it. So that was kind of cool. Also, Edie Falco, if you guys are Sopranos fans, she was Carmela Soprano. And she was in the movie. Super small part. She was just like another general. I'm sure she'll show up again. They had the, Spider was the kid, and he was, oh my God, what's his name? Son. Stephen Lang's character's son, basically, who was just too young to go off because they couldn't put kids in a cryo freeze or whatever to take them off Pandora and back to Earth. We also find out in this movie that we've destroyed Earth, which is another common trope. I mean, look, we totally could. Or at least make it uninhabitable for us. But another common trope in movies that we've seen time and time and time again. So now they're not just trying to mine in Pandora, they're trying to make Pandora their home. But that was just a very small thing, which I feel like if there's going to be more movies, they're going to come out. I think they made the third one already. So all in all, much better than the first one. Visually incredible. It still felt a little long though, where at one point I was like, all right, yeah, the visuals are beautiful. Got it. Cool. Is the movie over yet? But still, again, better than the first one, better than I thought it was going to be. Not a masterpiece of storytelling, but it was a fun time. It's worth going to see in theaters just to be like, ooh, pretty. So if you haven't seen it, then I've spoiled everything for you and you shouldn't be watching this. But if you have seen it, I'm curious to hear your thoughts below as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because this is just, these are my initial thoughts. And sometimes my opinions sort of change after I've given the movie a little bit of time, where either things will annoy me more or I'll like them more, or I'll think about it for a while and I'm like, you know what? I really disliked this one portion of the movie. But I haven't gotten there yet. So maybe I'll watch it again. I'll talk about it on stream, I'm sure. So if you're not following me on Twitch, go do that now, because I love talking about this stuff and it's very interactive. So it's twitch.tv/XiaLand, XiaLand. So go check it out there. Give this video a like. I'm going to try to do a lot more review stuff. So give it a like. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to my channel. I would love it if you would, if you like the content. And leave me a comment below on what your thoughts were if you've seen the movie, because I am curious. I thought that I was alone in hating the first movie. And of course, everybody's completely different. Their ideas of what they like are different. But it seemed the general consensus of everybody that I spoke with, they also thought the story was trash. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts were on the first one and the second one. If you've seen it, if you'd see it again, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys for the next thing that I review. Bye.